All right, Larry Krueger with a sports update on the 49ers on this Tuesday as we go through everything that happened in Ninerland on a Tuesday. And there's always a lot. There's never a shortage of things to talk about. One of the things that jumped out to me today is that George Seifert is one of 12 remaining candidates for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, according to Adam Schefter. As far as the Hall of Fame coach candidates for the class of 2026, here are the options. Bill Arnsparger, Bill Belichick, Tom Coughlin, Alex Gibbs, Mike Holmgren, Chuck Knox, Buddy Parker, Dan Reeves, Marty Schottenheimer, George Seifert, Mike Shanahan, Clark Shaughnessy. Well, George Seifert has 2 Super Bowl wins. I believe Mike Shanahan does as well. So those guys probably belong in there. Mike Holmgren has 1 as a head coach, right? At least 1. I know he might have 2. Alex Gibbs, longtime offensive line coach, he definitely belongs in there. Belichick obviously belongs in there. But George Seifert, unfortunately, George Seifert had a rough go in Carolina at the end, but he was a great defensive backfield coach, a great defensive coordinator, and a phenomenal coach across the board and deserves to be recognized as such. So good luck to George Seifert. I hope he makes it into the Hall of Fame. Niners also announced today that they are re-signing linebacker Stone Blanton to the practice squad. Stone Blanton played at Mississippi State his final year. He's a tackling machine. And, it's funny, all these Niner fans were like, you like Stone Blanton, Krug. Like that was like some proof that I don't know anything about football or something. And it's like, yeah, I do like Stone Blanton. And I still like Stone Blanton. And the Niners clearly do too. So maybe take it up with John Lynch. Tell him he doesn't know football. Stone Blanton's a tackling machine. He's an absolute tackling machine. Now, does he need to work on his body a little bit? Yeah, he doesn't have quite your NFL body, right? He could be a little bigger, a little stronger, a little faster, a little bit more explosive. He could work on all those things, and he probably needs to kind of get into an NFL weight room, get with an NFL speed coach, and just work on making his body as lean and as fast as possible. But instincts wise and showing up at the football and knowing how to play linebacker and, devotion to the game and pursuit skills and all the different things that make a great linebacker great, this guy's got it. This guy's going to be heard from at some point somewhere. Maybe he'll only be a special team linebacker, but he'll be a damn good special team linebacker. I'm telling you, Stone Blanton shows up at the football with regularity. So there you go. I mean, if you show up at the football all the time, that is a very, very good trait for any linebacker. So he's back, and he's back on the practice squad. So way to go, Niners, bringing back Stone Blanton. One other Niner note, and it's not really a Niner note, it's more of a Falcons note, but former Niner Ray McCloud released by the Atlanta Falcons. They sent him home from their facility last week. He did not play this weekend. It's obviously some non-football related issue. Ray McCloud, who's a very good return man, very fast, is out there. And I think that's a guy the Niners ought to take a look at least. Bring him in for a workout. He can do a lot of things. He absolutely can. And I think he's an interesting player that has a future in the NFL. I think he's going to play in the NFL. I think he's going to play well. So Stone Blanton, I like Ray McCloud. I think he's got still more of a future in the NFL, and I'd love to see him back here if possible. Niners also announced today they have released tight end Messiah Swinson from the practice squad. Swinson never really got any run from the Niners when he was here. I mean, he went to practice. He's a big, athletic tight end. But the Niners said goodbye today. He was a borderline NFL player. The Niners take on the Texans this week, and is Nico Collins going to be in the lineup for Houston is probably the big question coming out of Houston this week. Collins suffered a concussion in the fourth quarter of their Monday Night Football loss at Seattle, and he's now very much in question for Week 8 against the Niners. So if you can't go, get ready for more of the rookies. Jaden Higgins, Jalen Knoll, both those guys are coming on. Knoll is really coming on. As far as Brock Purdy, he's got the toe injury. He's probably unlikely to return for the game against the Texans. Mac Jones has been a more than capable fill-in. He's won 4 of the 5 starts. He's 4-1. He's averaging 280.8 passing yards per game in those matchups. So he's somebody definitely, I would definitely say Mac Jones is probably going to play in this game. And I would think that we may not see Purdy for a few weeks. Now, George Kittle talked about the advice he's given Purdy during his recovery from turf toe. And here's the quote, and Coach Yak had it on his Twitter. He says, "How I understand it is just like with the turf toe stuff. It's basically if you trigger it at all before it's healed, I think you just back up in the recovery process. My thing, what I've told Brock is just get to where you feel fantastic and then play football again. We know what Brock can do. We're excited to see Brock play football. I just want him to come back. I just don't want him to come back too soon. And then the same thing happens like when he played against Jacksonville. And then he's out a couple more weeks because Brock's a phenomenal football player that is the best orchestrator of this offense that I've ever seen. And what Kyle Shanahan has done, he's just so efficient at it. And so I just want him to be at 100% before he tries to take the field again. And I think he's aware of that. And I think he's going to do a good job with his recovery. And he'll come back when he feels like he's ready. So, that's really, I think, well said from George. And I think I'm glad that he said it because it probably needed to come publicly from somebody like George to convince Brock that this is his reality. He needs to let that thing heal. The initial prognosis was he was going to be out 2 to 6 weeks, and he was out 2, and then came right back, and then had a recurrence of the injury, and now he's been out longer. So, there's no question in my mind that Brock Purdy is the Niners' best quarterback when he's healthy. He's got accuracy, he can process, he's got mobility, he's got toughness, he's got escapability, he's got next level movement skills. I mean, there's just a lot to like there when it comes to Brock Purdy. So I think Brock Purdy is the best quarterback the Niners have, but only if he's healthy. And with the turf toe, what I see is it's sore to put it to fire it into the ground. So his timing with his footwork is a little off. It's a little slow, which causes his ball to kind of sail, which we saw in the Jacksonville game. So his accuracy is impacted by it. And then when you look at him throw the ball down the field with this turf toe, you can see his arm strength is affected by it. So, I mean, you've got your accuracy affected by it, your arm strength affected by it. When Brock Purdy gets to the top of his drop, he looks like he wants to set up camp and stay there for 5 days. Like he doesn't want to move off of the top of the drop. And it's all because of the pain that he's feeling in the toe. His escapability is his greatest trait. And he doesn't have that. He doesn't have that first step quickness. He doesn't have that same speed with the turf toe. And then when you mix in, he's not as accurate and he doesn't have the same arm strength. He isn't Brock Purdy. He needs the arm strength. He needs the accuracy. He needs the mobility. He needs the escapability. That's what makes Brock Purdy Brock Purdy. So he's not himself right now. And Mac Jones is better than this version of Brock Purdy without a doubt. Without a doubt. So Mac Jones needs to keep playing. Brock Purdy needs to keep resting until, as George says, he's ready to go. And when he's ready to go and he's feeling great, there'll be plenty of time to get ready. And personally, I'd like to see him give it a solid 3-4 weeks where he doesn't practice. He's not running around on it. So he doesn't have any kind of a recurrence. And let's see if he can get to December and then get him in there. The best situation for the Niners is that the Niners keep winning games with Mac Jones, pile up a bunch of wins, let Brock Purdy heal, and he gets back in, let's say, first week in December, and he's good as new. And now he's fresh because he hasn't played all year. And that's when, you might be able to go on a Super Bowl run with Brock Purdy leading you. So that's what I'm hoping for. And I thought that George Kittle comment there was really, really interesting. One thing I want to share the screen on. This was my favorite soundbite. This is off Coach Yak's Coach Yak's Twitter, and it's really good stuff. I love Coach Yak's Twitter. He puts out some of the best stuff, and he got a great cut here of Chris Kasarik. And here is Kasarik imploring his guys in the game the other night, and the way only Chris can.
Everybody talks about desperation and all that. Play fucking desperate. You play desperate. Everybody talks about desperation and all that. Play fucking desperate. You play desperate.
People talk about desperation. Play desperate. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. A little bit of Chris is always a good thing. All right, there is our breakdown on a Tuesday of everything that happened in Ninerland. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. And we should tell you, 49er football season is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. Use promo code Larry. Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. And once again, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week, serving the best barbecue in the Bay. So thanks to them for sponsoring the Krug Show. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.